Hi, my name's Cliff. I'm from Grand Island, New York, and I am a Democrat. My very first vote as an 18-year-old was in 1976. My very first vote was for Jimmy Carter. And my most recent vote, just a couple of months ago, was in fact for Joe Biden in the New York primary, or more to the point, against Bernie Sanders, perhaps more accurately. I have two problems with Biden. The first is the party itself. The Democratic Party, as I'm sure is well known, has a very sordid history, which included in the 19th century slavery, included the Ku Klux Klan, the Democrats kept German Jews out in the 1930s when all they had to do was fill the existing quota, but instead sent hundreds of thousands of people to their death. The Democratic Party created the Japanese American internment camps. Now, starting around the time of Harry Truman, and in retrospect, ending perhaps with the death of Henry Jackson. But during that period, the Democratic Party had seemed to have changed its stripes and had, between perhaps the late 1940s and 1980 or so, had been a voice for reason, moderation, liberal in the old-fashioned sense, politics, and appeared at least to stand up for minorities. My concern now is that it appears to be going back to its roots. And what I mean by that specifically is that the newer generation of both Democrats as well as Democratic supporters seem to be people who want to constantly make an issue of somebody's complexion, demonize blacks, frankly demonize blacks and Jews, certainly demonize Jews, have complained that Jews are living in Judea and call that things like apartheid, while not saying a word about the fact that Muslims don't allow a non-Muslim to even set foot in Mecca. And that's a problem. Now, what really put me over the top with regard to the party was Obama's payment of $150 billion, more or less, to the Iranian terrorist regime. I cannot imagine that is something that Harry Truman or Scoop Jackson or John Kennedy would have done. And the excuse was, and bear in mind, Biden was an integral part of that administration, the excuse was that it was their money. Now, in fact, it was the Shah's money, but Obama said that it was the Iranian regime's money, even though the United States has never recognized the Iranian regime as the legitimate government of Iran. Since 1979, never recognized them, and yet suddenly it's their money. It appears that the Democratic Party takes the side of every terrorist dictator, and that's where we stand, and it made me very wary of the Democratic Party. As to Biden specifically, of course, he is a career politician. He's been around for almost a quarter of the misdeeds that the Democrats have done in the last 200 years, 47 years. And during all that time has never, and this is an important point, has never had an executive position, whether in the private sector or the public sector. And he wants, at the age of 78, to have his first job as an executive be President of the United States. To me, that's very dangerous. On top of which, of course, being a career politician, he will be responsive to the sorts of person who, or sorts of people at the extremes who these days support the Democratic Party. Hopefully, the Democratic Party will be better in the future, but for right now, I cannot vote for them and I cannot vote for Joe Biden.